Good morning, students. I am Nidhi Bagalwadi, your science teacher, Sankalp Learning Solutions. In the last class, we learned regarding the what do you mean by inherited characters, what is variation, definition of heredity, and we also learned regarding the greatest scientist, or we also just brushed up the thing regarding him, that Gregor Mendel, who is called as father of genetics. In today's class, we are going to discuss regarding what were the contributions of Gregor Johann Mendel, and how why he selected garden pea plant, what are the terms involved in genetics, so that we can learn the upcoming concepts very easily. So that we are going to discuss today. Just a minute. I think the screen is visible for you all. So rules for the inheritance of traits, Mendel's contribution. As we know that the 1822 to 84, known as father of genetics, he proposed a theory of inheritance. He gave three laws of inheritance, which we are going to discuss later. He performed his experiment on garden pea plant. In Hindi, we can call matar. In Kannada, we can call batani. Okay. Then his paper that published the experiments, whatever he observed, he published in a paper named Experiments on Plant Hybridization. So this was published in a fourth volume of Annual Proceedings of Natural History Society, which was the famous journal that time of Brunn in 1886. So this is regarding a brief introduction about Gregor Johann Mendel. So he was a son of a farmer. He studied theology and was obtained as appointed as a priest in the order of Saint Augustine. Became a monk. He became a monk. He went to the University of Vienna, where he studied botany, from where he got an interest to study regarding the plants. Then Mendel took meticulous notes on all of his whatever he experimented. He made a notes, or he made a good documents of it. Prior to Mendel, heredity was regarded as a blending process. It was not, a heredity concept was not revealed. It was regarded as a blending process. Offspring were essentially a dilution of different parental characteristics, they used to say. Then, so why Gregor Johann Mendel selected garden pea plant? Why? Because it can be self or cross pollinated. We can perform self pollination in that plant as well as cross pollination in that plant. Self pollination within the same flower, the pollen grains will fall on a same stigma of the same flower. So that is self pollination. Cross, the pollen grain of this flower will fall on the stigma of other flower. Then it can be grown quickly. The life cycle is very short. It can be grown quickly and cultivated very easily. They are annuals, that is only 1 year. They complete their life cycle within 1 year. Then note, we know about cross and self-pollination. And the characters, whatever he wanted to observe, those were visible in a pea plant very clearly. That is why he selected garden pea plant. Just a minute. Okay. So the next thing is he considered these characters of pea plant to study or to perform the experiments. The characters what he considered were regarded as traits. The characters were called as, just a minute. Okay. The characters were called as triads. Okay. So he considered triads, and according to him, the triads are the expressions of factors or genes, which we can call today factors. He named genes as a factors. Factors express the triad or a character. So he considered 7 contrasting character. Contrasting means each character will be having two forms. Each character will be having two forms, or we can say each factor or a gene will be having two forms. First, he considered the seeds. The form of a seed, if it is round and wrinkled. Cotyledons, whether the cotyledons are yellow or green. Then flower color, white, violet, red, or we can say purple. Pod color, full or constricted between the seeds. Okay, or we can say here constricted or round or something. Then color of the pod, yellow and green. Then position of a stem, axial and terminal. Size, long or short, or we can say tall or dwarf. So these are the 7 contrasting characters selected by a Gregor Mendel to study the garden pea plant. Okay, so he regarded or he considered these characters and studied the garden pea plant. So these are called contrasting character, and for gene he used to call them as factors. Now let us learn certain terms related to the genetics. The first one is, let us move. Okay, so if I consider a gene, guys, if I consider a gene which is related to height, means this gene expresses the height. So in height, we will be having two forms. One is tall, the other one is short or dwarf. Okay, so the gene which is responsible for the height will be having two forms of it. Gene will be having two forms, two variants of it. One form will be for tall, one form will be for short. So the alternative forms of a gene, the various forms of a gene are called as alleles. The various forms of a gene are called as alleles. As I said, you height of a plant, tall and dwarf, and the color of a flower, white and purple. White and purple are the alleles. Okay. Then the gene will be of color of a flower. Then we can say the shape of a seed, round and wrinkled. Round and wrinkled are the alleles. Okay, so in the alleles again we have two types which are called dominant allele and the recessive allele. So dominant allele is nothing but it is a allele which express itself, which will not allow other allele to express itself, which will mask, which will dominate the character or the expression of the other allele, that is which is recessive. So that is called dominant. It is always supreme, it will express itself always. The recessive allele means what? The allele whose character or whose trait is masked, whose character is not expressed. For example, if we take TT over here, no, just a minute. Fine. So if we consider tall and dwarf, in this tall and dwarf alleles, tall allele is a dominant one. Means it will not allow dwarf allele to express itself. So that is why dominant alleles will be represented by capital letter, and recessive alleles will be expressed in terms of small letters or a lower case letter. Okay. Next, we have phenotype and genotype. Let us concentrate on phenotype and genotype. Phenotype means what? Physical character or physical appearance of the character. For example, height. It is a character. What is the physical of it? Tall or a dwarf. Genotype means what? Genetic makeup, how the alleles combined, how the alleles are there inside it. That is genetically how they are. So that is genotype. Then we have two more terms, which is heterozygous and homozygous. If there is one dominant allele and one recessive allele, then it is called hetero, means different, heterozygous condition. If they have one dominant, again one dominant, otherwise one dwarf and again one dwarf, same alleles, same forms of alleles, recessive, dominant, then it is called as homozygous condition. So here we can see two identical alleles, here two non-identical, means which are not same alleles will be there. Okay, this is regarding certain terms related to the genetics, right? Fine. So yeah, just a minute. So here you can see this is a homozygous dominant. This is a homozygous dominant, AA, homozygous dominant. Heterozygous dominant, AA. Here also expression of A, we can say red color is expressed, red color. Homozygous recessive means what? Small a, small a. Homozygous, same. Recessive, AA, that is blue color. So this is regarding homozygous condition, dominant alleles, recessive alleles, and heterozygous condition. In the upcoming session, we are going to use these terms and we are going to study the experiments performed by Sir Gregor Mendel. Okay. So until that, take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.